Should be loading up everywhere. Let's see. Okay. All right. YouTube is up. Let's get Bleacher Report up. Make sure that's connected. Should be good to go. All right. Bleacher Report is up. And Facebook is up. Okay. All right. Running it back from the top. All right. Here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Friday afternoon. A matinee edition of KFTV Live, CP the Franchise in the building. Friday matinee and a big Friday matchup, man, between the number 3 team in the East, the New York Knicks, and the number 1 team in the West, the OKC Thunder. Revenge, revenge, revenge. Let's see if the real orange and blue will come out tonight in Madison Square Garden, man. Joining me on today's show, some of the fan favorites of KFTV, man. My guy, John Schmelk. You can catch him on WFAN, Giants.com, doing incredible work covering the New York Football Giants. And in today's day and age, I mean, that's an understatement. But shout out to John. Welcome back to the show. And our guy, Pee Wee the Plug, is back. Numbers on the board on ESPN, doing the damn thing. Welcome back to P. And let's get into it, man. Call us up. You guys can call us up in the KFTV Discord if you want to get in on it. And shout out to everybody watching on YouTube, Twitter, X, Bleacher Report, and Facebook as well, man. All right, Friday night. Fellas, how we feeling, man? How you doing? Because, you know, the fan base, I'm seeing a lot of nervous reactions on Twitter. How we feeling, man? John, I'll start with you, man. How you feeling about what's going on right now, man?
Hey, look, even if you got a good team, they're going to go through slumps during the course of the year, right? And I think that's what we've hit right now. We've hit a little bit of a lull. You know, these are the dog days of the NBA season, January, February, before you start getting geared up for the playoffs, and you're going to hit rough spots. And I think this is a rough spot for the Knicks right now. I know a lot of people, CP, have talked about the energy, especially on defense, to start some of these games, like against Orlando, even the first couple quarters against Toronto. Sure, I'll buy that. Here's my bigger thing, and I think this is something that has to turn around tonight if they want to beat the Thunder, one of the best defensive teams, not just in the league, but like in decades. They're really good defensively. This team has not shot well since before Christmas. Starting on Christmas Day against the Spurs, dude, they have not shot above 35% from 3 more than twice. They did it against Toronto. They shot 36%, and they shot 39% against the Jazz. Other than that, in those 9 games since, including that Christmas Day game, they have not shot above 35%. They've not shot 40% from 3 once. And this is a very good shooting team. Brunson's in a slump. Bridges is in a slump. Anunoby, whether it's his elbow or whatever it is, he hasn't shot threes consistently, though he was good against Toronto the other night. So they got to start shooting better, man. And this team's not going to brick forever. It's going to come back, and it's going to have to come back tonight if they want to beat the Thunder.
P, how about you, man? Initial thoughts about the state of the orange and blue right now, man?
Well, I will, first and foremost, I'll say as a Knicks fan, I am happy with how things have gone in an overall perspective. But I agree with John. Since the new year, the new calendar, we haven't been playing the basketball that I kind of got accustomed to. But I'm happy it's happening now because I think the front office is going to have to figure out some type of move. And we've been talking about it since the start of the season. There's been a move or maybe 2 in the works that we all knew as Knicks fans was going to have to happen. But we need some type of bench depth. And I think when you look at how many minutes these guys are playing, and I don't want to bring up that conversation again because we know Tibbs is going to play guys. That's just what it is. But I correlate some of the shooting with the fact that we're playing a lot of minutes. Even that OKC game that we lost last week, Karl Anthony Towns played 22 out of 24 minutes in the second half. That's a lot of minutes to put on guys' legs, especially you look at OG, you look at Josh Hart, you look at Mikal. These guys have high defensive assignments, and Josh Hart is flying all over the place. So when we have such lack of depth and we're putting so many minutes on the body this early in the season, I just feel like the shooting is going to be something that's going to take a hit. And that's one of my favorite things about this team. I love the fact that we have such a well-polished offense. We're going to have some stretches defensively where we don't look as good, but I think overall we have what it takes. And we're missing some guys, right? Hopefully Miles McBride can suit up tonight. I'm missing him a bunch.
Big time.
But I do think we need an extra body or two and some type of spark that can give our guys a little bit of a rest, a breather here or there. It doesn't have to be anything significant. Like I said, Tibbs is going to play guys That's just the way it is. But man, we cannot have guys playing 22 out of 24 minutes in the second half. Not this early in the season.
Okay, so P has issued his statement. He's on the side of the minutes police, John. You know, this has been a major debate every year. I'm used to it by now. You're used to it, P. You're used to it. It's a debate that we have every year. After the Knicks win over the Raptors, both Karl-Anthony Towns and Josh Hart came out in defense of Tibbs. Hart saying, hey, we do this every year. Towns basically saying, hey, Tibbs, his resume speaks for itself. He gets the job done. Now, as Pete mentioned, you know, Towns is in the spotlight here with the right knee tendinopathy. I want to play this quick soundbite here from our guy Brandon London, New York Post Sports. He had an orthopedist on who spoke about the Towns injury and what it could mean in terms of, you know, implications going forward. I want to play that soundbite and then get your reaction to it, John. Here we go.
Ball, you've probably had this injury, and like you said, called jumper's knee. You know, the word tendinopathy is kind of a generic word for a tendon injury. So that in itself doesn't give us too much clarity, but there's two different flavors of this injury. You could have tendinitis, which is a little bit more acute. So that would be something that just got irritated, and there's inflammation of the tendon, typically where the patellar tendon attaches to the kneecap. So the patellar tendon is that tendon that connects the kneecap to the shin bone. You can also, if you ignore the injury for a while, develop something called tendinosis. And that actually involves a little bit of degeneration of tendon tissue. And again, it's in the same area, but that's a little tougher to deal with, and that's a little bit more chronic.
As Doc said, is
All
something
right,
that's
so
just so.
just pause that there. So essentially, you know, he would go on to say that, you know, physical therapy is something that would help this. But for the Knicks, in the middle of a dogfight, the second half of the season as it even started, how do they handle this Town situation, man?
I think you have to be cautious with them. Look, tendonitis is something you can deal with, and I imagine, you know, that's probably what it is. I doubt the Knicks are sending him out there risking structural injury, and that's not something I don't think they would do. So my guess is that it's this inflammation, but, you know, you talk about the minutes. I'm generally of the, you know, all right, well, 40 minutes, 37 minutes, 3 minutes a game. Is that really, you know, 90 seconds a half? Is that really making that big of a difference? Probably not, but there have been some games this year where even I've rolled my eyes like, Tibbs, really? You won the game by 18? Do you guys need to roll out for 42 minutes? Like, come on, dude, you gotta have some confidence in the guys coming off your bench. And we could talk about the trade deadline coming up. I just don't have a ton of confidence they're going to be able to find somebody. They just have so few assets to move. You know, Mitchell Robinson's one of them. Dude ain't healthy. Yeah. I don't know who's trading for a guy that can't play. So you're looking at, a pick swap that I don't think you want to move. You want to kind of save that. You have the fake Wizards first that can turn into a 2. You have Precious Achiuwa. I mean, you're not getting someone that's really helping you. And it's a problem. Because I'm with you. I think they got plenty of guard depth, right? Deuce comes back. I think Shamit's actually been pretty good. I've been very happy with him, especially on defense. He's a cutter. He moves off the ball. I think he's been pretty good. I'm willing to trust Tyler Kolek more than Campaign, but if it's Campaign for 10 minutes, fine, whatever. I'll deal with either one of those guys. But who's your hedge to OG Anunoby? And that's what worries me. Because go look at his career. When's the last time he played 70-plus games? It just doesn't happen.
Right. And he's third. He's third in total minutes behind the Hart and Bridges.
The hamstring injury or the calf or the knee, something's coming. You know, we were all held our breath when he slammed against the floor. I think that was the Thunder game, right? When he took the big spill towards the end of that game. And I think we're all like, oh, here it comes. And if he goes out, what's the Knicks' answer there? You're going to have to play Precious, and then you take away what makes this offense special, being able to play 5 out with Towns as the fulcrum, right? So that, to me, is your target when you look for more depth, someone that can play the 3/4. Those guys are the toughest guys to find in the NBA, right? The Knicks are looking for guys like that, you know, for years, and they're just difficult to find. So I don't feel great about finding somebody. I hope they can, because I agree. I do think you need someone, especially at forward, that you can trust with some of these minutes because of OG Anunoby's injury history.
Yeah, big time, and P, and that's my main concern, because the minutes thing is a concern. You want to make sure that these guys can get to April and beyond. That's when the real season begins. You know, a lot of players, like foreign players, look at the season, split it up into kind of like 3 chunks. When you get to the playoffs, you want your guys at A1. But the problem is there a solution that the Knicks can rely on right now? Because as John said, I still think they need another 3-4 tweener, another 4-5 tweener that can go out there and give them some length in minutes. Obviously, Pacome Dadier is not that guy for them at this moment, but it seems like they have almost too many guards right now. You know, you look at Campaign. The loss of Deuce McBride is big, but even going back to last week's OKC game, I mean, AJ Mitchell, I mean, he was eating Campaigns for lunch, dinner, and everything, man. So I think that's a big problem right now, is finding proper solutions off the bench that can give you a long minutes in these games.
No, yeah, John hit it on the head, though. We have certain games where we take care of business and we're handling teams. And to me, that is the opportunity to give guys experience. It's very hard to develop and win and compete in the same breath. You know what I mean? We've seen that attempt a lot of times in the NBA, and it's very hard to do. At this point, I'm not asking for anybody to be developed. I'm just asking to give them some type of experience so that down the line we can start to trust these guys for at least 6-7 minutes. I'm with John. I look at the box score too, and I'm like, how much is 3 minutes? You know, is that big of a deal? But by the look of it, sometimes it may be. And if we can't have 2 or 3 guys that we can put out there for a 2 to 3, 4 minute stretch, that's a little bit concerning. You know what I mean? We've made the playoffs before. We know what it's like. We're a team now that's accustomed to being in the playoffs. That's not the goal, or that's not going to satisfy us enough. We're trying to go on a playoff run. So we have to think big picture. You know, a couple of years ago, it may not have been a big issue because we were just trying to get into the playoffs. But now that we're in the playoffs, and now that we kind of, in my eyes, we have a chance to compete. The teams that are above us, I'm not too fearful of these teams. They're really good. They have my respect. But I feel like the Knicks can match up with anybody in the NBA on any given night. And I love to have that type of confidence. But I'm also aware, due to last year, we're one injury away from an entire series going in the opposite direction and kind of just being like, man, we got to wait till next year. So that's my main thing. What is that move going to look like? I wish I had the answer, but that's why the guys in those positions are paid the money that they're paid to go out there and figure it out, and we can just talk about it. But something has to be done because we've seen this play out in too many times in a similar way, where we have this really good team that shows the flashes of being really great, and can match up with the top teams in our conference. But again, one wrong fall, one wrong turn, and now we're out of the playoffs thinking, what if? And I just don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, CP, I want to jump in real quick.
Yeah,
because I think even finding more confidence in the guys off the bench is part of it, but I think Tibbs can do a better job staggering his starters a little bit, right? You can survive, Pacome Dadier for 4 minutes a half, right? That's what you're asking for, 4 minutes a half, if he's out there with Brunson or Towns, right? Like, there was a period in that Oklahoma City Thunder game where he had Bridges and Brunson on the bench at the same time at the start of the fourth quarter. Like, you can't have that. Those are your 2 ball handlers. You need one of those 2 guys on the floor. Same deal. You need either Brunson or Towns on the floor. I think if you stagger those guys a little bit more, you can survive 4 or 5 minutes of a Dadier, of a Kolak, of a Campaign even, right? You could survive that if you just stagger Bridges, Brunson, and Towns, and then you can. I think Hart and Anunoby are in some ways interchangeable, right? And that's how you have to do it, right? You can't trust. The Knicks don't have a bench unit, right? It ain't a bench unit. It's not a unit. They got guys you slide in with the starters from time to time. So that's how they have to manage this. You can do that for longer stretches if you're not putting too many of those guys out on the floor at the same time. It gets tough. It gets trickier. You get fewer minutes with your 5 best players on the floor at the same time, which I know Tibbs likes. That's what he wants, and I know that's tough. But eventually you do have to think about, to P's point, the future and being ready for the postseason. And I think they played 2 games against the Wizards. It's the Wizards. Figure it out. Like, I get it. You're chasing wins. I want to win games too. You want to try to get ahead of the Celtics for the 2 seed. So if you play them in the second round, you get home court advantage. Get all that. Cool with all that. You can survive Tyler Kohler for 8 minutes in a game, or Dadier for 8 minutes a game. That's not going to set you back against the Wizards.
Yeah, and even the Raptor game, I was looking for them to rest Towns. Like, I didn't feel like they even needed Towns for the Raptor game, but he came out there, he's wincing, and then just started dominating the game. So I guess that's what you're gonna have to get used to going forward, because they can't afford to lose him for too much time. And in that first matchup, man, they get outscored by the OKC bench 46-5. 46-5. You had Aaron Wiggins going crazy. He's averaging about 40% from 3 in his last 10. I mentioned AJ Mitchell. Isaiah Joe didn't really even have that great of a game. He goes 3 for 8, 7 points, right? Well, what might he do in the Garden? And so, as you pointed out, it seems like Shamet is getting stronger as the games go. His defense, his energy, his movement is all good. Now he's got to put some points on the board. He's got right.
Shoot.
That's why we brought him in. You got to knock down those threes, and you got to take some high volume out there. Payne, same way. Like, if you're not going to be out there playmaking, given his defensive woes, then I might as well take a shot with Kolek and see what he can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. One of the things that I love about Landry Shamet, he's a high IQ guy. So even when he's not making shots, it always feels like he's in the right place at the right time. As far as the OKC game, though, dog, like I hate to beat a dead horse, but the bench, like to be outscored, that's by 40 points. Like, if that's not a conversation starter for the Knicks in the front office, I don't know what's going to be. And when you look at the team that actually did beat the Thunder, the Cleveland Cavaliers the other night, their bench outperformed the Thunders. And I think that's part of it. One of the best things about the Thunder is their depth and their bench, and they know how to put guys in position to gain confidence. You know what I mean? Aaron Wiggins was a guy that was a star in the fourth quarter. I don't think he missed a shot.
Yeah.
And usually, you go into a fourth quarter, you're going against the OKC Thunder. You're looking at Shea, right? You're looking at Shea, J-Dub, and whatnot. But to be able to have a guy like Aaron Wiggins come out of nowhere and change the entire sway of a game, because up into that point, up into that fourth quarter, it felt like an NBA Finals game to me. And I know it sounds crazy for people that aren't Knicks fans. It sounds biased. But I was getting an NBA Finals feeling. And then out of nowhere, Aaron Wiggins comes out and take care of the game. Offensive rebound from Hart turns into an open 3-point shot, transition 3-point looks, and then so much attention goes to Shea that they were able to create another look for him on the wing or whatnot. And again, off the top of my mind, I don't believe he missed a 3-point shot or a shot at all in that quarter. So that was one of my biggest takeaways is the bench being outscored by 40 points. I don't want to continue to harp on the bench, but we have to figure some things out, because a lot of these teams that I look at, they're going to have that advantage over us, the depth. I don't know too many teams that's going to have a strong enough 5 to compete with us, but the bench and the depth is something that I'm continuing to look at. But I do agree. Landry Shamet, we've given you a few games, brother. You're getting your lungs under yourself, your legs. It's time to make some shots, damn it. It is time to make some shots. And I love Tyler Kolek, man. I'm okay with maybe giving him some opportunity over Campaign. Campaign, when he is going, he is going.
Right.
But when it's not going, it looks like a nightmare.
Yeah, no question about it. And John, you talked about earlier the pessimism in terms of what this front office can come up with at the trade deadline. In years past, those moves on the margins, we never really could predict, right? It was D Rose, and even though the Reddish rumors were out there in years prior, they got Reddish, and then they flipped Reddish the next year for Josh Hart at the deadline. But now the war chest is much, much smaller, and you have to take the future into consideration. Now, the tradable contracts in terms of aggregation, you have Mitch, you have Precious. What do you think? Does that even make sense? To deplete your core?
It might not, because you need your depth at center, right? I mean, you hope that at some point Mitch can come back and give you a defensive presence. If you're playing a team like Cleveland, maybe you can play Towns and Mitch together against their two bigs, right? You can do something like that if you want. So are you paying, robbing Peter to pay Paul at that point in terms of your position? So, yeah, I'm with you. That's why I'm not confident they'll be able to find anyone. I think they're going to have to figure out how to do it with this roster. And look, we knew when they made all those deals this offseason, all the hoops they had to jump through, CP, just to get the Towns trade done with, signing all these guys and, just making the cap thing work. And they're so close. I don't want to bore people to tears with the salary cap stuff, but you're so close to the second apron. You can't go over the second apron. You can't bring back more salary than you send out. There's a million rules. They're hard capped at the second apron. All these things that makes it really difficult this season to make a move. It gets easier next year. The cap goes up, right? You get more flexibility. But I think this is the team they're going to go to war with. Unless you're talking about, you want to get your boy Alec Burks back, my man. Like, you can bring Burks back and him to play a little bit.
You're hearing rumblings from the fan base. Now when they see what this bench is made of, now they want to go get my guy Big Money back from South Beach.
I know. So, look, I could see something like that. You get like a minimum guy, maybe buyout market, right? You can find somebody on the buyout market. If the Heat are completely punting, like, Is Kevin Love somebody that makes sense as a stretch four? Like, these are names that don't get me excited, to be honest with you. So I think they're going to have to figure out what they have, on the roster. And it's funny, just in the Thunder game tonight, dude, he mentioned the bench scoring. That was the only game all year the Thunder shot better than 50% from three against the Knicks. Only game all year. Knicks shot 28%. I don't think that's going to repeat itself tonight at the Garden. So if you can equalize that three-point shooting a little bit and attack their weak defenders. I think the trap the Knicks fell into in that game last week was that in the fourth quarter, after attacking SGA with Bridges, they were posting them up, and they were going after some of the weaker defenders. They decided, all right, well, we're gonna have Brunson try to go one-on-one against Lou Dort, and bad idea. That was not gonna work. The Thunder did hard double teams. The Knicks usually navigate those pretty well. They didn't navigate them well in that.
Yeah,
and I just thought it was disappointing. When Bridges and Towns were such big parts of the offense earlier in the game, they completely went away from both those guys in the fourth quarter. Now, Bridges in the middle of a terrible shooting slump. That might not work in this game, at least from three. But I would like to see those two things get a little better. The three-point shooting. And, I know Brunson's your best player. He's not playing his best ball right now. Attack their weak defenders. And we've seen this sometimes with the Knicks CP. You want to go back to those Hawk playoff series and the COVID year, not attacking Trae Young, not attacking Halliburton last year in the Pacer playoff series. There's been you probably remember better than I do, but there's been a lot of these examples, especially against a great defensive team like the Thunder. They did a good job of moving the ball, cutting. They did better in the paint against the Thunder than almost any other team did all year in that game last week. But attack their weaker defenders. And the fact that SGA, by the way, is one of their weaker defenders is telling, because he's not even a bad defensive player, by the way. He's not. But I thought Bridges kind of killed him in that first half. He was big boying him in the paint. So I think that's the type of stuff you got to do against a team that's that good individually and defensive as a team like the Thunder are.
Yeah, and I mean, when you speak about the non-Brunson plays, man, I just love Mikal Bridges' energy, especially to start that game. The hustle, getting the 50-50 balls. Obviously, his efficiency is still there. His defense on Shea was good, but it did seem like they went away from him in the second half. They went away from Towns kind of exploiting. Even though J-Dub is a great defender himself, Towns' size was impacting those guys. You saw last night what Mobley and Allen were able to do to that Thunder front line. So I think we're going to see how Karl Anthony Towns feels tonight, because if he's going to be able to get down there and bang with those guys, that should bode well for the Knicks. You hope that he's just not out there from three-point line, hoisting them up, but actually being able to mix it up and take advantage, Pete, of an undersized Thunder defense.
I want to see the Karl Anthony Towns I saw against the Bulls on the Derrick Rose night game that I went to.
Yeah.
Because that Karl Anthony Towns is a Towns that I feel like puts us in a whole different atmosphere as a team. That was one of the most driven times I've seen Karl Anthony Towns say, nobody on the floor, big, small, fast, feet, whatever, can guard me and stay in front of me. I'm going to go wherever I want to go, and I'm going to get to this basket, and I'm going to destroy you on the inside. And he kind of hurt himself doing so because he was that driven. But I would love to see the same mindset against them. They're smaller. I don't think Hart can hold him. I don't think J-Dub can hold him. And as much attention that he can draw, he's an incredible passer. We know Karl Anthony Towns has shown us. And again, I think we need to create some more opportunities that are a little bit easier on our guys, because again, they're going to play a ton of minutes. This is going to be an OKC team that's going to get a lot of attention from you defensively, because you have to worry about Shea, because you have to worry about the shooting and the movement from an Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe, and then you have J-Dub. It's a lot of attention to details against a team like this. And then Hart, we know what he can do on the offensive glass, keeping the body on him. So as many easy buckets as we can generate, that's what I want to see. But I definitely want to see Karl Anthony Towns be the focal point, because Lou Dort is not a guy that I feel confident against going at and trying to exploit. Mikal, we'll see what we can get. If it's another one of those nights where he's feeling himself and going at Shea, then let's go that way. But I feel confident night in, night out that there's not too many guys in the association right now that can handle Karl Anthony Towns. And, and when it's time to drive it home, if we can put the ball in Brunson's hand and take us home like we've been able to see so many times, then let's do it. But again, we do have Lou Dort sitting across from us on the floor. So let's not give them that satisfaction of being able to use him. So you go through Karl Anthony Towns and we operate through him.
I'm right now, CP, I'm going to show my age. I'm going to be the old man shaking my fist at the cloud. Can we see some post-ups for your 7-foot center going against a 6'8" forward?
Right.
Like, come on. I know this ain't the 90s. I get all that. He's a 6'8" forward. I know Jalen Williams is a good defender. I don't care.
Yeah, he ain't that
Give it
damn
to your
good.
give it to your 7-footer in the damn post. Let him go to work. Your only other player besides Jalen Brunson that can attract double teams and create mismatches is the guy you're going to be paying $50 million a year to, and you just traded a bunch of stuff for him. Use the man. If you're going to look, Oklahoma City Thunder is a great defensive team. You have to find their weaknesses. And look, you can get away with Jalen Williams against a bunch of centers in the league because they don't have the ability. Like Jared Allen or Devin Mobley ain't posting up Jalen Williams. That's not in their game. It is in Towns' game. Is he Ewing? No. But he's got a jump hook. He has that little baseline fadeaway. He has the spin move for the dunk. He can do a lot of things down there. Take advantage of one of the few mismatches you have. P is exactly right. Give it to the big man. I don't want to see these drives from 30 feet away. The Thunder are going to collapse. They're going to steal the ball. He's going to push off with his off arm. He's going to get the offensive foul. All the bad stuff's going to happen. And I know Williams is going to try to flop. He's going to try to draw the charges in the paint like he did in that one horrendous call last week where they, overturned the initial foul on Williams. I don't care. Let Towns just toast him down low. If it doesn't work, go away from it. But let the big man do his thing down there. And if they have to double, I think all three of us trust Towns to pass out of that and find open players for open looks.
CP the Franchise, John Smelk, Pee Wee the Plug in the building. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel wherever you guys are watching from. This is a Knicks Fan TV Bleacher Report simulcast. We are talking Knicks Thunder Friday night. Knicks, the stage is set. Madison Square Garden. Now all we need is revenge against this team because last week took us on a high, man. In a span of two halves, we went from, man, this team could really do it to, oh, man, what shape is this team in after this loss? It goes that fast in the NBA on a cardiac Nick night. We talk about Towns. How about Brunson, man? Brunson, he's been in a bit of a funk, shooting slump. Some people are asking, is he hurt? Is he injured? The decision-making in that second half, one of the biggest things in that second half against the Thunder, especially in the fourth quarter, that late game execution where you expect him to be sharp. It wasn't that. Slow to make decisions, milking the shot clock, and wasn't really responding to the OKC doubles. What are you expecting from Brunson tonight? P, I'll go with you, man. What are you expecting from the captain tonight?
Well, I'm expecting a totally different game. Number one, we're going to be in the Garden, and that Garden is electrifying. I think it not only for him, for the entire team. You know what I mean? It's going to be a wake up call. It's a Friday night game, and they know what's at stake. They know that we want to send a message to the league that we are one of those teams. And I feel like he's a guy that you can count on to have those bounce back performances. The reason I love Brunson so much is because I think as a leader, he shows what you want from the rest of the team. He takes full accountability, full responsibility. He never runs away from his task and his duty as a leader. And I think he's very well aware that he's struggling. I think he's the play that I think is probably driving him crazy, that's gotten him want to play this game tonight, is the one where Dort is guarding him. They do the screen with Hart, and I think Hartenstein blitzes him, and he has that turnover that turns into the Aaron Wiggins left wing three that kind of was the dagger. I'm pretty sure since that play, he's been thinking about OKC on his schedule to get back and get that revenge, as you're saying. So I think he's going to control the game. Is he going to have a 40-point outburst? Again, I have too much respect for Lou Dort to expect that, but I think the decision-making and just the poisonous that controls our offense will be there tonight. And again, if we play through Carthy Towns like I feel like we can and we should, I think it'll alleviate some pressure off of Brunson. A lot of times over this year and even last year, I felt like there's been times where Brunson just has a little bit too much offensive responsibility. Our offense sometimes becomes stagnant and predictable. And when you're his size going against the defenders that he's facing, the last thing you need is predictability for the opposing teams, and it just makes it a little bit harder and harder for him throughout the course of a game, especially, again, he's a guy that's playing 35-plus minutes a night too, and it'll wear down. But I expect him to have a bounce-back night as far as just directing the guys and having us set and organized, and then he's going to make his big shots.
Yeah, certainly hope so, man, because as you said, Lou Dort, one of the best defenders in the league. You saw the attention that Dort and OKC collectively showed against Donovan Mitchell last night in their loss to the Cavaliers. So Brunson's definitely, his decision-making is going to have to be key. And John, also defensively, man, he's going to have to stay connected because OKC, their team, they love to run those guard screens to get Shea out there on the weaker defender, out in transition, from those long threes or those turnovers. That's what OKC likes to do. Get out and run. Brunson, he's got to stay connected out there, man, and not because teams are targeting him. They target him. They target Towns when he's in the drop coverage, right? Stevie Wonder can see that those are the two weak points in the Knicks defense. So, teams are always hunting them. So I need the captain also locked in defensively to keep in this game, stay in this game.
Hey, look, and then that's still the one structural problems the Knicks have, right? Their two best players are their two worst defensive players, and one is at the point of attack, and the other one's the rim protector. So it's not the two spots you want to have poor defenders because they become hard to hide. Brunson, he puts good effort for it defensively. It's not like he doesn't get himself in position. So that a lot of times he'll get, as strong as he is, he just gets overwhelmed sometimes. When guys are going at him, he'll end up committing fouls. And look, Hartenstein, and we know this, right? He's one of the best screeners in the NBA. He's a tremendous screener. So he's going to get up there. They're going to get Brunson and they're going to get Towns into those pick and roll actions. And can they survive that, right? Can Anunoby help from the baseline? Can they prevent kickouts for three? But, OKC is not one of these big, they aren't the Celtics. They're not a team that relies on threes for baskets. They want to get to the basket. SGA's got that great in between, 5 to 15 foot type of pull up game. He's got the floaters, all that stuff. He's just really good at it. So, yeah, look, they're going to try to target Brunson. And the Knicks are going to have to be very good in their help, in their pick and roll coverage. Switch those when you can. When you can't, are you going to trap? Are you going to show and get back? Do you live with those Hartenstein floaters from 8 feet away and hope he doesn't make them in this particular game? We know how good he is at those from his time with the Knicks. These are things that Tom Thibodeau is going to have to figure out. And I think the tough part of it, and the reason the Thunder are so good, sometimes you could do all the right stuff, guys, and it ain't going to matter. If the Thunder are playing their game and SGA's SGA and he's playing one of his better games, you could play that stuff perfectly. He's still going to make shots on you. So do the best you can. I like the way they moved guys on and off of SGA in that last game. They had Bridges a little bit. They put Anunoby on him. I think even Hart on him a couple possessions. Mix things up on him. Try to keep Brunson off of him. Yeah. OKC has enough wing guys that you can hide Brunson onto. To your point, CP, I'm sure they'll try to bring him into the action on those guard-to-guard screens. But you're going to have to prepare for that, and either Brunson's going to have to be a big boy and hold up, or they're going to have to figure out clever ways to switch, hedge and get back, however you want to work on that, trap, so you don't get Brunson into those one-on-one opportunities or get Towns into those drop opportunities where he drops back so deep, SGA is going to eat him up with his mid-range game if he does that. So I think it's going to be on Thibodeau to make sure that they're prepared for those types of plays with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Big time, man. And P, John mentioned Isaiah Hartenstein. He met with the media during this morning's shoot around. Here he was with our guy Ian Begley about his time in New York and with the Knicks fans. Here he goes.
I don't know if everybody kind of understood the rules over the summer where the Knicks could only go to a certain place. I couldn't go anywhere near where OKC went. I guess what's your message to Knicks fans?
I mean, first of all, just like more of like appreciation. I mean, I love it here. I mean, I love how they embrace me. Even I think they do a great job. It's like when you're not playing good, they even like my first couple months, like kind of just pushing you on to take another step. So even at the beginning where it was more hate than love, like I appreciated that. Like I think like that just helped me to take another step, and I always appreciate them. And I hopefully hear some cheers and boos at the same time. So I'm excited.
P, what do you think, man? Is it cheers or boos for iHeart at the world's most famous arena, man? If you're in there tonight, what are you doing, man?
I'm cheering. I'm not gonna lie. I'm cheering.
Me too.
I'm not mad at anybody that's around me booing either, because I know how it goes. But I loved everything that he was for us. He embodies, I think, what blue-collar cities like New York or Chicago want to see when you go to a game and watch your team. I think one of the best things about our team last year was the offensive rebounding, and him and Mitchell Robinson. Get well, Mitch. I missed the second,
Big
third.
time.
opportunities. I mean, the Dante DiVincenzo shot against the 76ers. You can't help but think about the offensive rebounding. And again, that's all I think fans want is a product out there that kind of embodies the city and shows fight and gives you a chance. And I felt like last year, with him being one of those energy guys that we always had a chance. And, like John said against OKC, sometimes a team just plays better and the ball just bounces a certain way and you might be on the losing side of that. But me personally as a fan, all I ask for is that we have a chance, we give it our all, and the chips fall where they may. And I think Hart was one of the guys on that team last year that kind of embodied that and made me proud to be a Knicks fan, even when we came out on the losing side. So I'll cheer for him. But once the ball goes into the air and the game begins, my cheering is done. And, he then becomes an enemy. So, that's my viewpoint.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, man, when you described him, his impact last year. As you said, you always felt like he had a chance when he was in the game. And it was nice to see his level up over the last 2 years under Thibodeau, going from a journeyman to a rotational staple. And having his IQ show out there, his defensive acumen, the offensive rebounding, man, it was an incredible loss for this team. I was debating fans like, oh, CP, you're acting like, he's Will Chamberlain. I said, I'm looking at a guy who impacted winning in a tremendous way for this team, and he sorely missed. And it was just unfortunate, John, that they lost him to CBA, to the fine print. And it's just unfortunate because all things equal, he would have stayed.
Yeah, early bird rights be damned, man. Like, I still don't get quite why that rule is there. I guess I understand why you don't want to give teams advantage time to a 2-year deal, and you can, max them out or do whatever you want to do. But look, I'm with P. I think you gotta cheer him in intros, and then once the game starts, he's the enemy. But look, I'll just say this: I've been to a lot of Knicks games in my life. So I've seen a lot of great performances. One of the best individual performances that I've ever seen was that Pacers game last year. And I don't remember how many he finished with, but when Isaiah Hartenstein had, he had like 24 rebounds in that game, whatever it was, that was one of the best individual performances I have ever seen live at a sporting event. He was all over the place grabbing rebounds in that game. He willed the Knicks to a win in that game. It was just an unbelievable performance. So I will never forget that particular game because I've never seen a guy dominate in the paint like that without scoring and just control the game without scoring. It was just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, no question about it, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP the franchise, John Smell, Pee Wee the plug in the building. For those of you guys in the chat in the tri-state area, now John's going to the game. I will be at Clinton Hall 36, man, for the KFTV watch party experience. We'll be there. Doors open at 6 p.m. Free. All you got to do is just go to the website, KFTV Watch and RSVP. Free to get in. We'll have happy hour specials all night. And KFTV's own DJ Eric L. Beats spinning on the ones and twos during the commercials. Game audio is very important to the fans. People ask us that all the time. They're like, are you going to be playing the game on the Of course. We're going to have the game booming in surround sound. Then we got Eric L. Beats getting the party on during the commercial. So it's a great balance, great time to be had by all. Clinton Hall 36. That is 16 West 36th Street. And I'll see you guys in a little bit, man. Right after the show, we are going to head there as well. Couple other keys for me in this game is certainly controlling the possessions and winning the pace battle, trying to catch opportunities where OKC is not set in the half court, because number one defense in the league, you want to be able to find your advantages. One of the guys I'm looking at, Josh Hart, man. Our guy Josh Hart, a career year this year, a very impressive year, 15.3 points per game, 11.3 rebounds, 6 dimes since December 21st. He's coming close to averaging a double-double on his career, man. What has impressed you the most about Hart, and what are you expecting from him tonight?
Kind of what I talked about earlier, right? When we talked about the shooting and the minutes and, correlating to legs and everything like that. Josh Hart, for him to have such an impactful season with the role that he has, he might go down as one of my favorite Knicks of all time, personally, just for me. Again, some of the same things I talked about with Hart, he embodies, but to me, even on a higher level. The rebounding, like sometimes you look at guys during playoff stretches and it's like, oh, they had a nice playoffs. He had a really good month stretch of basketball. So to see Josh Hart kind of parlay some of those playoff moments into the regular season and turn it into a career year and kind of re-identify himself and reestablish himself as one of the most sought after role players in the entire league, to me has been like a sight to see. It's been one of my favorite things that's come about in this new season that we have here. And he's a guy that plays basketball. He's on the floor. I have full confidence that we'll see him on the floor on a night in, night out basis. He's one of the dogs that we have. I feel like our team is too nice. Personally, I think we have some really good guys, and it's nothing wrong with being a good guy, right? But we have a lot of soft-spoken, nice guys, and I think he's one of those guys that's willing to get a little down and dirty and put that hard hat on and fight on the glass, get in guys' faces, call out bullshit. We need a couple of more guys like that in my opinion, just because it can get real gritty in the Eastern Conference, especially when it comes playoff time. And he's a vocal guy. That's another thing that I feel like when I watched the OKC game from last week, we had a lot of miscommunication based off not communicating, especially because OKC likes to move. They like to get in transition. They like to give Shea the ball and they space out with shoot. You have to be able to be vocal. And a lot of times you're going to see Josh Hart being the only guy communicating. And we have a lot of other guys that are kind of just getting back. And that's when two guys go to one, and now Aaron Wiggins is over there open for three. Tonight is a night, like you said, Isaiah Joe ain't do much in the last game. This is a night where Isaiah Joe could be the guy to hit 4 threes. You know what I mean? We have to be on one accord, and I feel like too many times I'm watching Josh Hart is the only real vocal guy on the defensive end. I think OG and Mikal are too talented of defensive guys to be as quiet as they are. But I think Josh Hart is having one of the best years on our roster, not from a statistical standpoint, but just from an impact type of situation. As a guy who's what is he? Is he our fifth option?
Sometimes he could be a second if he's handling the ball.
Yeah.
So
he's just that Swiss Army knife. Like a knockoff version, kind of a Draymond Green, man. He can grab it and go. He can defend. He's in the right place at the right time. He's a good decision maker. Hey, man, don't let him have a game where he's making 2 or 3 threes. You know what I mean? Like the fact that he's able to shoot 37, close to 38% from 3 right now has been super impressive. But I'm loving everything that Josh Hart has given us. And tonight I want to see him have one of those nights where he's a monster on the glass and pushing in transition, like you said. Coast to coast Hart is one of the most underrated guys in the league, man.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, hitting those threes, and John, I think that's going to be important for him tonight, because as OKC looks to take away Brunson and likely Towns, that paint could get a little bit crowded, and they'll take a risk. Even though Josh Hart is shooting the ball well from 3, they'll take a chance with him stepping into a wide open one if it means not getting Brunson and Towns into a rhythm. What do you think about Hart tonight and just his overall season with the team?
Yeah, look, I think they put Hartenstein on him in that game, right? That's where they tried to hide Isaiah Hartenstein. They put him on Josh Hart. Can Josh Hart make him pay? That's one of the reasons he only had 7 rebounds in that game, right? Which is a low number for Hart. But when you got he's not grabbing rebounds over Isaiah Hartenstein. I get that.
Right.
But can you impact the game in other ways? And I think we saw late when Brunson was getting trapped, Hart was going to be the outlet guy in those spots. They just couldn't get him the ball. So he's going to have to take advantage of that. And when he grabs these defensive rebounds, can he go out and run? And if they kick it out, can he make threes? Again, I gave you the number before. 9 of 32 from 3 in that game. If the Knicks shoot 9 of 32 from 3 again, they're not winning that game tonight. They're not. You got to be at 35% or better if you want to beat a team like the Thunder. And I think the other thing to look for tonight, CP, can you keep Shai Gilgeous-Alexander under control again? I know fans will say, what do you mean under control, John? I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he scored 33 points in that game. It took him 26 shots to get there. Mm-hmm. If you can make him take 26 shots to score 33 points, that's a W. That's a win. Do that all day, right? And I think they have the right players, especially OG, to guard Jalen Williams, where he's not going to kill you. He scored 20 in that game, but again, it took him 17 shots to get there. That's a number you'll take if you're the Knicks. And if you can guard those guys straight up, not let the Isaiah Joes of the world and these other guys get their open threes, make those guys work for their shots, and that's going to be on Mikal Bridges again. And, his defense after that first month has gotten much better.
Yeah.
He's really getting over those screens a lot better. He gets in that trail position, but he bothers the shot. He uses length to get back in front and challenge. He did that to Alexander really well. And at his length, he's the perfect guy to guard Shai. Shai's not super explosive and fast, but he's quick, elusive, and long. And I think Bridges is really situated well to guard a player like that. If anything, I think it's like the ideal type of player that Bridges, I think, will have success against, while maybe some of the smaller, faster guys, he has trouble getting around those screens, like the Trae Young types, right? He almost gets too low for him. But against a guy like Alexander, I think that's a good matchup. So can you keep Shea and Jalen Williams under control, not have to send two bodies at them, and allow those other guys to hit those open threes? Because, again, 50% from three for the Thunder in that game. If the Thunder shoot 50% from three again, I don't care what the Knicks do. They ain't winning the game.
Yeah.
So those are, I think, some of the things you got to keep an eye on tonight.
There you go, man. Oh, man. Great show, fellas. P, any final thoughts on this game? 7:30 tip-off. What do you think, man?
I think we all leave or go to bed tonight happy. I'm feeling like it's a Knicks win. I ain't got too much to say, damn it. I want to see the result. We can sit up here and talk the talk. I want to walk the walk. I want to see some highlight plays that get me thinking of the last postseason we had. I want to see some Josh Hart diving on the floor. I want to see some chippiness. They are not. Hart played with us last year, but he's not our friend right now. And yeah, I want to see a Knicks win. It's always nice to see the Knicks win on a Friday night in the Garden. So I'm looking forward to it.
There you go, man. John, how's your schedule looking? Are you going Senior Bowl soon? You got a little bit of a break, or what's going on, man?
Yeah, by the way, it's funny. You mentioned not having the mean, nasty guys. I think DiVincenzo, that's maybe the one thing you miss from him the most. He had a bit, he tried to fight Joel Embiid in the playoffs last year. I don't see any of these other guys trying to fight Joel Embiid, right? I got Shrine Bowl and Senior Bowl. I'll be out there for a little bit more than a week at the end of the month. I think I'm leaving on Friday, January 22nd, something like that. So try to find some players that'll make the Giants win more than 3 games next year, which I think would be nice.
Number three pick, man. So once you get your homework and your notes down, let's circle back again. Prior, much sooner than the draft, but even up closer to the draft, man. We'll talk about it and get the Giants fans hopeful, man. Fellas, excellent work on this Friday, man. John, enjoy the game.
Go Knicks, baby. Get the dub. We need to beat a good team, man. Let's do it.
Appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate it. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Excellent show, man. JR in the chat said, great guests. Well, listen, man, I would never steer y'all wrong, man. When we book these guests, we want the best or we want nothing. And this is what we do here on KFTV. So we appreciate everybody for tapping in. Fellas, I'm going to drop you guys off, but once again, appreciate it and have a great weekend.
Drop these guys off. Take care.
Absolutely, man. So, yeah, this is just what we do on the number one show for the fans, by the fans. Constructive dialogue about the team we love, man, and that is the New York Knicks. All right? Even when we got to do the watch party and we got to get ready for all of that, we got to talk about it. We got to bring the people together. I felt, every morning I kind of go out there on Twitter and I check the temperature. How's the family feeling? How's the fan base feeling? A lot of nerves. A lot of people, CP, I'm nervous about the game. I'm nervous about Karl Anthony Towns' injury. So that's that, whenever I kind of check that pulse, that's when we kind of got to get the people in order, get the people together, rather, and just talk about it, man. Kind of calm the fears a little bit and have some confidence in tonight. I'm confident about tonight, man. I'm confident about tonight. Tonight could be one of those Garden classics that you will remember where you were at and you were glad that you paid all that money to get there. Bleacher Report, we're going to sign off. We'll see you guys on Monday. For YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, we'll stick around, holler at the chat for a little bit. And salute to you guys, man. Hell of a show, man. I'm energized right now. I'm feeling good. Shout out to Eric L. Beats in the chat. Eric, I see you in there. Eric's getting ready to tear down the house at Clinton Hall 36. Gonna be a great time, man. Very much looking forward to tonight's watch party. Hoping to see you guys there. Knicks versus OKC. Let's get it going. Let me shout out some of my people on the chat. Welcome to Mark Cordova. Welcome to the franchise channel members, man. Shout out to Mark. Appreciate your support and for tuning in. People in the chat on the YouTube side, how you feeling, man? Let me know your thoughts. Father P says he's nervous. Richard Miranda on the Facebook side. Richard, how are you feeling tonight? How you feeling about it, man? I'm feeling good, man. Let's get this W. and I'm hoping these guys are ready for revenge. But hey, they're going to need a fight. And like I said, that team that played and beat the Raptors, they're going to have to level up tonight to get this Thunder win. They're going to have to level it up. Absolutely. Couple things real quick. Let me salute some of our sponsors, man. Hey, for some of you guys going to the game and looking for tickets, not too late to go to SeatGeek, the official ticketing app of KnicksFanTV, the number one ticketing app, number one rated ticketing app, and that is SeatGeek, man. Use our code KFTV10 for 10% off your order on your tickets, up to $20 off. Hey, listen, those MSG tickets are pricey, as you guys know, so any type of savings, it can go a long way, and we're happy to help. Use our code KFTV10 for 10% off your order. The green dots are the better deals. The red dots, typically stay away from those unless you're just desperate to get to the Garden. All right? Okay, what else here, man? Let me get my Underdog picks for tonight. The Underdog play-by-play show hosted by CK2K is coming up tonight at 7:30, so make sure you guys are tapping in, especially if you can't watch the game. It's a great way to tap in and get in on all the action. So shout out to our guy CK2K. I hit him up today, just making sure he was good. You know, the California wildfires going on and everything, so I had to make sure our guy was locked in and safe, and he's looking good, man. To those of you that are impacted, hey, man, we definitely want to send our thoughts out to our left coast family or Knicks family, or left coast Knicks fans. Anybody impacted, just make sure you check on them. Shout out my guy, Sean Shepard, David Futternick. Who else we got out there? Nick Alexander. Shout out to all of the left coast Knicks family. Yeah, man, absolutely devastating what's going on out there in California. Okay, let's get these Underdog picks in. Shout out to our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. Use our code KFTV for up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick. So I'm going to get my picks in tonight for tonight's Knicks versus OKC game. And with Underdog, you choose between 2 to 8 players, and you're basically going to predict whether or not they're going to go higher or lower on a given stat category for the night. So as you see with Jalen Brunson, for example, they have 24.5 points tonight. Is he going to go higher or lower than 24.5 points against OKC tonight? What do you guys think? Points, rebounds, and assists. This is what I was looking at here for Jalen Brunson. 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. If we look at his last 5 games, he's hit it. How many of the last 5 has he hit this number? This is 31. Okay, so 34. Here you have 43, 29, and then 25. I think tonight, man, with that Lou Dort matchup, I think this could be on a little bit on the lower side, man. I'll keep it real. I think Captain Clutchy's been in a bit of a funk. And I think the Knicks go through the big bodega tonight. Some more Mikal Bridges as well. I'm going to go lower than 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Captain Clutch. What do you guys think, man? Who else do you like in this game, man? Mikal Bridges, Towns. How about Hart? What do you guys think about Josh Hart tonight? We talked about him. Rebounds. I always like to go with the rebounds with Hart. What do you guys think about Josh Hart tonight? 9.5 rebounds will get you 1.05 times your money if it hits. So that means that Underdog is expecting a lower rebound total for Josh Hart tonight. We just talked about, if he gets the Isaiah Hartenstein matchup, could be a little bit lower. So what do we think, man? Josh Hart. Higher or lower than 9.5 rebounds tonight? Josh Smoot says Hart is good with the rebounds. Okay. All right, we'll try it out with Hart, man. It's going to be a tougher one. He has hit the higher on 4 out of his last 5 games, but the one that he didn't was against OKC. So they're thinking triple dub. All right, so let's go with it, man. Let's go with it. I'm going with Josh Hart higher than 9.5 rebounds in this game. Now, with Underdog, you have to pick at least 2 players, but they can't all be on the same team, so you got to mix it up. So we spoke about my guy, Hart. 28.5 points, rebounds, and assists. What do you guys think for Hart? 28.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Is it a little bit lower tonight? I'm going to go lower. I'm going lower for iHeart tonight. And then the other pick I liked, you have the Chicago Bulls and the Washington Wizards. Washington Wizards can't guard anybody. They can't guard you at home sitting on the couch. I'm going with Kobe White, man. Higher than 19.5 points, man. I'm going with Kobe White higher than 19.5 points against the Washington Wizards. So I'm going to put in a $20 wager here. And on this ticket, you can go $20 will net you $197.39, $197.39. Or that's on the standard play. Or you can do flex pay, which is you get 3 out of the 4 correct. You'll win $30. You get 4 out of the 4 correct. You get $118. So that's what I'll go. I'll go a little bit conservative today, and I'll go on the flex pay side. And so there it is. I'm going Jalen Brunson, lower than 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Josh Hart, higher than 9.5 rebounds and Underdog. And Isaiah Hartenstein, lower than 28.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And I'm going Kobe White, Bulls at Wizards, higher than 19.5 points. I feel like that's a low one. So once again, use our code KFTV. You get up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick. All right? So there that is, man. Blue and orange, everything. Orange and blue skies. Knicks Nation, have some faith. We're going to bounce back and get this W tonight, man. After this, CK2K 7:30. Play-by-play live. After that, the number one post-game show for the fans, by the fans, CP the franchise, Al Shataros. Post-game live. We'll see you there after a Knick victory. Keep the faith, Knicks fans. Thanks again for a great show. Shout out to Pete. Shout out to John Schmelk. And we will see you guys, just a few hours, man. Get something to eat. Take a little break. Go for a walk the dog. Watch up the dishes, fellas. And make sure you're back here for KFTV all night long. We got you covered, man.